we do have a quorum, and I think Alma's gonna start the meeting until John gets here.
Righty, so we'll begin the meeting at 11:05. And number one is the approval of minutes from September 13th, 2022.
Didn't send these out ahead of time, did you?
I did, I attached it to this,
Okay.
meeting's agenda, I believe, I think I did. Maybe I might not have. I did, okay.
Yeah, because I printed out everything that I
Is it
had.
in the invite?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's in the agenda.
I think,
Okay.
yeah,
It's separate.
okay, so y'all need me to send it separately?
Well, sometimes I only see the calendar.
Okay.
Me too.
It's me being lazy.
No,
not
no, that's
going
fine, I can start sending it separate.
I didn't know it was there.
Absolutely, I'll just
Okay.
make me a little note for either myself or Martina to
We
send
send them at
that.
the exact same time.
Okay,
Um,
Me too.
I'll send it back in separate.
Glanced at them last week, but I didn't bring them with me this week. Do we want to vote on that?
Mhm.
Okay. So,
Make a motion that we approve.
Yeah, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
the next thing is new business.
Well, we'll need to do September financials. Number 2 is review of September financials.
Yes.
So your first page of the financials is your statement of activity for activity for September alone. We had a negative revenue of $34.56.99. The big ticket that you'll see is that advertising and marketing. Remember, 5,000 of that went to Odessa Arts for their sponsorship for their Netflix series. So that's why we had a deficit in September. And then the next page will break it down for you. Statement of activity by class. You'll see on the downtown egg hunt, we had a net revenue of $500. Texas Tech did pay their outstanding invoice. So we got that taken care of. So you'll see that $500 come in back from April. We also had some art tour tickets sold for 16, 17, 26. And then Treats on the Street sponsorships for $787.20. And then again, that big chunk of $5,000. The rest of that was office expenses, job supplies, things like that. So your statement of financial position, this will be your year-end total, October of 21 to September of 22. It shows that we had a positive revenue for the year at $55,502.80. With our ending balance at $205,547.82. So, really good year for us. That's better than the past 4 years combined, that 55,000. So we're really excited about that. And then the last page of your financials, I know it's small, I blew it up as big as it would go, but it's still rather small. This is gonna be a breakdown by class of how we got to that $55,000. So, again, this is just the city side of things. It's not the nonprofit side of things, not the city side of things. But this is kind of our income by event for last year. Any questions on the financials?
I have a question.
Yes.
Would it be possible to, I know it's QuickBooks that makes this so hard to enlarge.
Yes.
What about having someone type it up in Excel? Would
Sure,
that
we
help?
can work on that.
You can actually export QuickBooks.
Well, that's what we did. So we exported it to Excel, and that's how we got it this big. The problem is that we have so many classes that to get it all in one page, if we try to make it 2 pages, these headings don't go to the next page, and so it wouldn't make any sense. So I was trying to get it large enough to where you guys could see it, but it'll be easier, so what I've got, if you'll look at your second page of financials, next to the title, it says deleted. It's not actually deleted, what I've done is I've gone in and I've hid all of those that we're no longer using, and so it'll be much better this coming month in November, because all of those will be hidden, and we'll only have the classes that we're currently working on. So what I'll do moving forward is, except for the end of the year one, but by month, I'm only going to show the classes that we had any kind of income or expense come out of. Outside of that, if it's just a zero, we won't be showing those. That way we can get it figured. That work? Okay. Hey, John.
Sorry, guys. It was on my schedule at 1.
I'm sorry. Okay, so any other questions on the financials? We just briefly, John, went over our financials. We, for the end of the year, ended as a positive for $55,502.80. Our big expense from September that you'll see that left us at a deficit was a $5,000 sponsorship for Odessa Arts, for the approval that you guys did last month for their Netflix special, that sponsorship that we did for them, so.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
All right. New business. So we have, I wanted to introduce you guys to Martina Marquez.
Hello, welcome.
She came to us from the city. She was in equipment services and she transferred over to the downtown office. She's been doing great. She's going to be our executive admin, and we're very, very thankful to have her. We have a full staff, and we're rocking and rolling, guys. We're really doing in good shape. So welcome, Martina. She has been in Odessa for about 15 years. She's married. She has 2 kiddos. She has some grandkiddos, and she's excited to be here. So thank you.
And everyone, if you haven't been by the downtown office in a while, stop by.
Oh my gosh.
They've rearranged, carpet's cleaned, they've
Got
done
our
some
carpets
everything.
cleaned, we rearranged, you used to walk in right to that, Martina's desk, and it was kind of like, ooh, and then that desk is tall, and it was cumbersome, and there was a ton of furniture, and stuff stacked in every nook and cranny, so the girls have really worked hard. Savannah came in on the weekend, brought her husband, and they totally rearranged, decluttered. We got our carpets cleaned last Friday, and now we have a little waiting area. We've got a coffee machine, and so it's really, really great. It looks great. Y'all need to come by and see it. So.
Ladies, y'all done a good job. Your office looks great.
Thank you. And we're getting our windows wrapped. I've really been wanting to do that since I started. A lot of people have a hard time finding our office. And so it's in my office, the 2 windows, one that's on faces Lee Street and one that faces 4th Street, right on the corner. We are getting those wrapped to have our downtown logo. So we'll be easily visible, and people will have an easier time seeing us. So we got that approved by the city, and super excited. That should happen this week or next week. So it'll be really nice. So we have letter B is discuss and select 1 board member to be a judge for the Parade of Lights. We're going to have 5 judges. We have somebody from the Odessa Parks and Rec Board, because there's such a huge help in this. We really wanted to extend that offer to them. So they're going to have somebody from their board. I would love to have somebody from our board. We're going to have a member of Prosperity Bank, because they're our big sponsor for the parade. And then we're going to have Randy Ham from Odessa Arts, and then somebody from the chamber. So we're going to have 5 judges, and that's kind of how we spread it out. So we'd love to have somebody from our board if one of you would like to volunteer. It's going to be a good time. I know Denise is going to be in the parade, so and Mark is going to be in the parade, so they're out. So I'm looking at you 5.
I won't be here.
You won't
I'm
be
not sure
sure.
if I'll be in town.
Okay.
First week in December, I'm not here.
John?
And if y'all aren't interested, I can always reach out to the Blake Committee or the TERS board if you'd rather us go that route, but we definitely wanted to open it up to you first.
Sure.
John, okay? Perfect. Next up is the Texas Downtown Conference. Does the board want to send anybody this conference? It's November 1st through the 4th. Savannah and myself will be going. Me tentatively, just depends on if we have to present to council on the 4th or not, on the 1st or not, but I'll be going, I just don't know when. But that is a Tuesday through a Friday. As you know, we are up for the People's Choice and President's Award for Best Traditional Event. So we're really excited, and it'll be my first one, so I'm hopeful to learn a whole bunch. And it's gonna be in San Marcos. The tickets are $400 to attend the conference, which DOI would pay for, and your hotel, I believe it was around $500. So it'd be about a $900 expense.
When is it?
When?
November 1st through the 4th. It's a Tuesday through Friday in San Marcos.
If no one's ever been, it's super informative. It's also a bunch of roundtable groups, what other towns have done.
Yeah, it's gonna be a really immersive event because we're going actually to the downtown San Marcos area, and they're gonna kind of walk us through their wayfinding and through all the different elements that they have in their downtown, what's worked, some hiccups that they've had, what partnerships they sought to have that come to fruition. And so we're very excited to kind of meet with them and go downtown San Marcos. They've done a lot of work. They have a big partnership with a bunch of different companies, and so we're gonna kind of see how that works and the positives of that. So if nobody has to go, we will definitely, Savannah and I will go and report back. We just wanted to open that option to you guys and see if anybody was interested in attending. So, and you don't have to have an answer today.
I'm sending someone from our office, Lisa.
Oh,
Jim,
good.
She's going.
Good, yes, it's
I've looked at
really
it, I'm thinking
informative.
about going too.
Yeah, okay.
I've just got one thing on my schedule, I've gotta make sure.
But if you haven't ever been,
Yeah,
or any of y'all, it's really, it's informative.
okay,
No,
yeah.
Would you be
It would
interested?
be awesome.
I might be interested.
Okay, well, y'all just let us know. We need to know probably by the end of next week so that we can get it all booked and all that. So we have treats on the street Monday night, which is Halloween, and so Savannah is for sure gonna leave Tuesday morning and get there. The conference starts at 1 p.m. on Tuesday. Depending on if I have to go to council or not, I'll be there either late Tuesday night or Tuesday morning. That's still to be determined, so. Okay, discuss the CO and update on progress. So this is per y'all's request from last meeting. Our plans as of right now, we are in the phase of trying to hire a designer, a design firm. So we have a committee, the committee met. We had presentations from two different design firms. The committee selected KDC to move forward with. So KDC has brought several options to kind of work through where that $7 million is going to be best spent. And so what we've done right now is we've met with KDC and we've kind of given them some parameters. You know, we really want a festival street. Give us some options on that. What would it look like to do some sidewalk repair? What is the scope that our $7 million can get us? Our next step is going to be presenting to City Council and getting them to allow us the funds from that CO to pay KDC. Once that happens, KDC will take all of our ideas and actually start drawing and sketching out and giving us a concrete plans for how we're gonna do it, what the implementation is gonna look like, and they'll provide us concrete plans that we can then go out and hand those to contractors and say this is what we want. So they are not doing the work, they are going to design it, they're gonna get all of the surveys done, and then give us options to choose from. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm working with the committee and Mr. Marrero to decide when we want to present that to council. That might be presented November 1st, so that might be why I'm late to the conference. But we're hoping to get that done by the end of the year, so then KDC can take that back and really start getting us a roadmap on what that $7 million is gonna do, where it's gonna be best spent, and get us some concrete designs and some visuals on what we're gonna do with that. So, any questions on that?
So the focus will be on what?
Well, and that's kind of what we're going to ask council, is where would they like to see focus? We've had the committee together, and they would like to see Festival Street, potentially on Jackson, and what that would look like, and then carry that over to Texas, and then what we can do on Grant. So we're trying to get, we want to spread it as far as we can. Our original thoughts were if we did it on Jackson, that's in-capped by the Marriott and the post office. So that's a 2-block radius where we could do a little bit but have a big impact because it's in a small area. There's also been talk of Texas, and do we do it on Texas? The concern with Texas is we don't have that end cap situation, and so $7 million in a 2-block radius on Texas is gonna look a lot different, because you then have the other 6 blocks that aren't gonna be touched. And so how do we make that work? So I know there's kind of a lot of talks, and so that's really what we wanna go to council with, is we wanna get direction from council and have KDC there, so that then they can turn around and decide what that's gonna look like moving forward. So we're very much in the planning stages. And KDC hasn't been hired yet to construct those visualizations, so that's kind of where we're at. We've selected them, but they have not been hired, and so we can't really go to them and ask them to create visuals of our ideas until they've been hired.
What do you do for $7 million to create a festival street?
So what our general ideas were, and they gave us a whole packet, and I'll be more than happy to share that with you guys if you would like, of the breakdown. It's wayfinding, it includes wayfinding, it includes branding that wayfinding and how that's gonna work, and it wouldn't include all of the wayfinding for the entire downtown footprint, but what it would be like the general idea. So we would have exactly what we want our wayfinding to be moving forward. So moving forward, if we have the money in 2-3 years, then we already have our plan and we hand that to the wayfinding specialist and they already know exactly what to do. It would be the same thing with lighting. So we don't have the funds from that $7 million to redo all of the lighting for all of downtown that needs it. So what they would be doing is they would be doing all the surveys and all of that to get everything we would need. And when we have the money moving forward, we already have everything in one packet we would just hand to them. What our $7 million would do for Jackson, we're hoping to do built-in, we want a permanent stage. We want barricades that, like bolsters, we could remove easily from the street, so we're not having to rent barricades for every event. It would just be a cemented screw-in bolster that's up to public safety code that's easily removable. We would want integrated sound and electricity, so that whenever we have bands come or vendors come, it's a plug and play. There's no generators that we're having to rent, light towers that we're having to rent, sound system and things like that. We've talked about upgraded intersections to where they're you've seen the intersections that have the hump in the middle to slow traffic down in that area. Something like that has been talked about. So different shade structures, kind of integrating on that entire street.
Is this direction that we are given to KDC to explore?
Correct.
Or this is their suggestion to start with?
Both. So they've we've had, how many meetings have we had, John? Like 3, where we all kind of had, brainstorming sessions where what would we like to see? We've had Parks in there, John, Craig Stoker, Hal Feldman with the street traffic department, and then Mr. Marrero, Philip before he left, and myself. So as a committee, we selected them, and then as a committee, we all came together and said, what are we missing? What would we like to see? And then KDC has put together some ideas of where we could spend our money, what that would cost, and what projects, so that we can pick and choose.
And everything is geared towards after hours and during the weekend, right? I mean,
Yes, yes.
And so parking lot south of Torchy's and the parking lot that's yet to be installed at 4th and Jackson,
Mhm.
those are the only 2 places that you can put anything stationary that I can think of.
Yeah, me too.
Like a permanent stage next to Odessa College stage. I'm
Well,
not-
and that's what we've talked about. So we've talked about if we do it on
Use all
Jackson.
the street parking, like how would that not impact?
Yeah.
I don't know, okay, someone else can be the landscape expert. Okay, I think the property
Jackson's kind of
owners.
far out though from.
Yeah. I think the property owner should also be included on, at least on a draft of whatever's being talked about.
Sure, sure.
I think that's
That was
courtesy.
discussed.
That has been discussed, yeah, absolutely. Before anything concrete, we really want to have, and their plan would include town halls, especially for downtown business owners to come in and give their input. Nothing is concrete at all. We are very much in the design phase. What we would be doing is presenting to city council to get the authority to pay KDC to then start having these discussions before anything is.
I think for me, so the physical component of whatever is gonna be improved is one thing. The other thing, I think, is a programming component of what the Marriott may be having going on, or Odessa College may be having it going on, or Torchy's on a weekend. But, okay.
Yeah, definitely. And all of those factors will absolutely be considered. And it doesn't have to be on Jackson. That, we had talked about, obviously we don't want to do a festival street on Grant. We can't do a festival street on Grant. Do we do Texas? What does that look like? Because again, Texas is so big and long that it would limit us on the improvements. So if we did it on Jackson, we would have a bigger impact and be able to, our concern is we don't want to spend this $7 million and then the public say, we see no change.
Well, is there a projection of future funds and phases to this?
Not currently, no, but what we are planning is to have all the paperwork together so that if we do get more funds, we have it already, so we wouldn't have to go through this process again. We're planning for the future funds that we don't technically have or have on the horizon, but we want to plan ahead, so if we do find funds, it's already done. We already have our whole, plan as far as infrastructure and wayfinding, and we want to pick out our trash cans and our benches and have all of that be one package, and then we can piecemeal that together as we get the funding.
And also, that's not moving Fandango. Fandango is always going to be on Grant otherwise. It's for the smaller festivals.
Correct.
Because it's so hard to block off Grant since it's a state highway. So the smaller festivals, it's a lot easier to move to Texas or Jackson or stuff like
Right.
that.
Right, Black Tacos and Tequila and West Texas Fest and things like that. We're really trying to find ways to make it more affordable for businesses and organizations to bring their events downtown and make it to where that is easier to do. The removable bolsters in the street where we're not having to have the infrastructure of barricades and having to get those filled and things like that, and impede the least amount of businesses that we can, so.
I'll tell you that whenever Toby and I were looking at, being the you know, the hotel being the catalyst, we brought in Quint Studer because, you know, he was in Pensacola and done such a great job.
Yes.
And he suggested, when he looked all around, he said, pick a corner and start from there. And he picked Fifth and Texas. And he said, because you need to start in one place and then just keep moving out from there to improve. So he thought that would be the best area, and we've kind of looked at that. And that's why I think downtown Odessa, why we've moved things to Texas instead of Grant.
That's
because
what
it's-
that's what I'm
West
looking here at
Texas
the map.
fits-
It makes more
fit-
sense.
yeah, I thought it fit
Right around
very
Fifth and
well.
Texas.
It did.
Right there,
It
and it's
did.
wide and.
Mhm. And then my second statement, I guess, is, you know, one thing that if you get in one of the hotel rooms and look around downtown, is, you know, we need to bury all those lines, all the electrical lines. So I
We've
it's probably a
talked
lot more
about
than
that.
7
It's-
million, but
If we couldn't bury, I think they said 3 blocks for
Yeah.
that.
yeah. I mean, that's just something to look at in the future, but I don't know, you might just start.
Yes.
I don't know,
We
because
need to get
that's
some church money.
unsightly, somewhat.
Church money.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was also mentioned about the sidewalks, you know, we have some sidewalks that are in desperate need of repair. That's in this plan, is it wouldn't be major improvements, it wouldn't be totally regrading those, but updating those and piecemealing those sidewalks that are, you know, uneven or things like that, so
For
that's
ADA
definitely
standards, looking.
correct,
at some ADA
bringing us
standards
up
on
to
that also,
ADA
because there's some
standards.
rough areas.
But I can definitely note down that you guys are looking more at Texas. Is that the feeling that we're looking at? And then maybe potential, the only concern with Fifth is that is the hospital route between hospitals. And so we try not to close down Fifth Street. We let it go to Fifth, but we don't ever want to go across Fifth and block that east and west
That's
traffic.
understood.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Could it be like
But
an
the theming
entryway
can
right there
start-
on Fifth and Texas, like, and you're entering the,
Towards Second, like going south on that one.
So typically, if we have an event on Texas, we do 3rd to 5th, with an intersection at 4th going, so we make an X, just like we did at West Texas Fest. So something along those. We've also talked about gateways. What do we want that to look like? I think we really need gateways for downtown. Where do those go? What does that look like? And so part of hiring KDC would be designing those gateways and ideas that we have and selecting the placement for it and all of that. So that's kind of where we're at. But again, we want to bring it to council and have these conversations and see where they think it would be best spent, where they see the festival street, and then once we get approval to hire on KDC, town halls are absolutely a part of that. It is in their write-up, and we think that that's super important because we want the public to get buy-in on this. Downtown business owners, we definitely want their opinions on how this is gonna work, and we want everybody to be excited about it, so.
And I like one thing that Casey has said over and over and over. She wants it where when you come into downtown, you feel you're in a different area. Signage is different, trash cans, benches, this and this. Where, you know, downtown's kind of got its own area, the way it feels different. She wants it really branded for downtown.
Yes.
I like the branding.
Yeah, I think branding is gonna be huge. You know, when you go to downtown San Marcos, when you go to downtown Fredericksburg, their signage is different than it is any other parts of town. So you know you're in downtown. You know that you're, you know, sometimes it's a historical district, sometimes it's, you know, not, it's just a different vibe. And so we're really working towards how do we express that to the community? And all of that will be part of this plan with KDC, so.
Yeah. In Pensacola, he didn't have a start and an end, but he did have like a roundabout on Palafox over here on one end. And then the other, I think, was just a street. You know, they just
Yeah,
started it and stopped.
and I think
So you don't have to
wayfinding,
have a OC in a hotel.
right,
to start
right,
that. I think you
it
could
just
know that it's the
no
city.
sneak, yes,
Yeah.
right, yes, and I think, you know, our signage, public parking, hospital, whatever, you know, OC Park, the library, and having that signage be very specific and different and identify that you're in downtown, I think is important. So we're, all of that is gonna be included in this, so.
I think so. Okay, that's good.
Perfect. Also, we wanted to discuss and vote on selecting one member of the board to be on the Hot Summer Night Selection Committee. we'll talk more about Hot Summer Nights down in the event update, but we are making a lot of changes to Hot Summer Nights, and we really want the board's buy-in on the groups that we're bringing in. And so in the past, I think originally both boards kind of voted on it, and then that we shied away from that, and it was, selected by the organizations, and we really want to go back out and have our boards selecting or help selecting who's coming in. So if anybody is interested, we would love to have a vote and select one member of you guys to be on that committee. If anybody's interested, or it's gonna be selecting the bands or the music or the comedian or whatever it is that we decide.
I'm already doing it for play committee, right?
I'm sorry?
Didn't you know?
You're doing it for play committee, yes, so John's out, y'all can't select him. But, it's not gonna be labor intensive, we're probably gonna have 3 meetings to try to get ideas, and then we're gonna send those ideas back and get quotes on prices and availability. And then once we have all that, we'll meet again and select them, so.
And guys, we also talked about, you know how we did it every, is it Saturday, Friday night? We've looked at maybe looking at a different night. We've also, doing so many in a row, the attendance wasn't great at some of them,
Yeah,
some were better than others.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in the event
okay.
update. And if nobody wants to do it, that's totally fine also. We just, again, I'm trying to find ways to get our board involved in what we have going on, and so,
Yeah.
but again, if nobody is interested, that's fine. We can move forward without one of you guys. I just wanted to throw it out there.
Can we table that for now?
Sure. I can bring it back up in November.
That's what I was gonna say, is Adam on
What's
it?
the right?
Adam will be a part of it.
Okay, just so much.
Yes, it's going to be,
All the things.
DOI. Ramsey is taking over Hot Summer Nights for Odessa Arts.
Okay.
Adam, somebody from the play committee, and then somebody from you guys, so.
I think it's easy for some of us who have, who know of a band or performer. Someone like Adam knows, okay, this is how we would get in contact with them. I can check availability. If
that's-
he brings something to the table like I don't think any of us have a clue at.
Adam is a necessity 1,000%, so we've already locked him in.
Okay.
He's very on board, so. Okay, if we're gonna table that, we will review and discuss board terms. So as we know, we have new council coming in November. So I show William is up, he's under Dietrich White. Mr. Castillo, you are under Tom Sprawls, and then Ms. Gomez is under Mari. I reached out to Alma already, and she has stated that she would like to stay on the board, so we're gonna reach out to the incoming council person and ask them. And then I wanted to ask you, Cruz, if you wanted me to do the same for you.
I think so, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. I will get that done. I think everybody else is good until 2024, so I will give you guys an update in November. We're gonna update and discuss the 380 agreement for the J.C. Penney's lot. I'm presenting this to council today. We've had some changes made to this. Originally it was going to be both lots, the east lot and the west lot. We were gonna have 3 restaurants and then a housing component. The group has decided to remove their offer for the east lot and only go forward with the west lot. So the west lot is 3 restaurants with a rooftop bar. This group is Sino Realty. They're the ones who own the house and El Silinoense. So they are downtown business owners. They're very interested. They're really excited to get going. We have a projected 24 to 30 month construction to finish date. It's a $2.5 million investment. They will retain 20 jobs. They will add an additional minimum of 25 jobs to be in compliance with the 380 agreement. And we're presenting that today at council, at work session. So What we plan for the east lot is we want to open that back up and put that back out for RFP. We're hoping that when the public sees, if it gets approved for the west lot, we're hoping that that will really drum up some interest and show there's a lot happening there. So we're hoping if we reopen that RFP, that will excite some folks to submit an offer on the east lot. So again, the 380 is a great tool for the city to use because we control the timeline. We have minimum investments. We can make sure that they're reporting and that their FTEs are true and accurate. And it's not somebody just buying the land and then they will sit on it. So
Keeping the east lot as a parking lot, I know that doesn't generate anything, but that's not important, I guess. I mean, we need sales tax and more retail.
well, and I think there's a ton of parking downtown. That's right across the street from the public parking garage. So we have that. You know, Texas has a bunch of diagonal parking spots. We just added 85 new parking spots to the downtown footprint. So I think getting people excited and some kind of additional space, either it be a retail or, you know, something, I think is huge. But everything's open on the table. You know, I think if we send that back out for RFP, we also have the lot at 7th in Texas that we didn't get any response on the original one. So, you know, we got 2 offers on this one. It's been a long process to get us to this point. But I think it's a really good offer. It would be a rooftop bar, which we don't have downtown right now. And again, the RFP and the 380 keeps them on that timeline. So we know, you know, there is a clawback provision. So if 2.5 years in, we've not seen significant progress, the city has the legal ability to take that land back, including the improvements. So a 380 is a really good tool, I think, for the city to use.
Cassie?
Yes, sir.
For today's presentation at council, are they gonna have their proof of financial statements?
Yes, and he's already sent that over to legal, yes, so that they have already got their letter from, the bank that they're ready to go, so they're wanting a short turnaround, they're ready to pull the trigger and get their contractor going.
So proposed design, elevations and things like that.
They have the elevation, design and all that will be presented today.
I would, okay.
Yes, sir.
We've actually seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's changed, because
This should be completed by a design professional, not a draftsman, in my opinion, but.
well, and originally they had gone to one design professional, and that wasn't. They're not moving forward with that. They've sought out someone else and have new. It's not the pretty renderings like we had originally seen for both lots, but it is the. I don't know. I'm not an architect, but it is like the drawings with the elevation and the actual footage and all of that. So that's what will be shown. It's not a pretty picture, but it is
The requirement.
the requirements.
On the, when we set out for another RFP for the east law, are we
Yes,
gonna
sir.
include that we don't own that 17 feet, that was kind of the stickler for this whole?
Yes. Well, and in the original RFP, that 17 foot was not included. What happened is the designer didn't notice that, and there was a hiccup there. They included it, and it shouldn't have been. So, but yes, we will make sure to note that and be very clear on the parameters of that property line. So yes, and we're really excited. We hope that somebody comes in and puts in a great bid for that, and you know, that draws more attention to downtown. We're a little sad that we lost the housing aspect,
And I
but
did have another developer reach out to me about their property on Texas.
7th in Texas,
Texas.
it's a great property, and I just don't know why we didn't have any response to our RFP, but we are thinking if this passes for the west lot and that is made public, it's not public right now, but if it does pass and it's made public, then that would potentially drum up more business and let people see the potential of responding to the RFP for both that 7th in Texas lot. because I've had 2 people reach out to me on that lot as well, I think we're on the process of something good there.
We'll do both of them then,
We'll do both at the same time, yes, ma'am.
make a difference.
Yes. And I'm hoping that happens potentially right around the first of the year, so that we can really just do a big push for that. And that goes nationwide. The city releases that nationwide, so it's not just local investors that's open to. So, okay, downtown tree trimming. I know last time Mr. Lawrence had questions about it. I did reach out to Parks just to get an update, and that was done in April. I think the ones like you and I had talked about, the main concern are the ones around the courthouse. And then you had talked about you would like to see them trimmed higher, and I asked if that was on the projection right now, and it's not. But that is something that we could look at.
How do we get that on they've actually, the courthouse has reached out to me in the last couple of weeks asking about, do they need to trim them themselves?
Okay, and I can reach out back out to Steve at Parks and just see what we need to do, because all of the ones that, we had some, you couldn't walk under them, those have all been remedied. Now, if we want them trimmed higher than what they currently are, that's something that I don't know, but I can absolutely reach out to Parks and see and let them know that that's a recommendation from the board. Okay?
Because at one time, they had reached out to a professional, they were gonna hire someone instead of city staff doing it, correct? Didn't we get some bids for that or something?
I'm not aware of that, I don't know.
I haven't seen any.
I'm
Because they were
not sure.
short-handed or something.
Okay, so we'll get that done. And then we wanted to chat about, and we might need to table this until next time because I didn't have time to, my intention was to research trash cans. It's desperately needed for downtown, really desperately needed, on Grant in particular, for trash cans for infrastructure. I think if you wouldn't mind, I would like to table this until I can reach out and get some quotes and some design options, and then I'll have more information to bring to you guys. I just didn't have the chance to get that done this time. But I did want that on your radar. And I also intend to include and reach out to TERS to see what funding they might have available, and maybe we can split that, or do we want to look and see if that could be part of the design package from the CO, what that would cover, and maybe DOI and TERS can team up and supplement that. It's just something that has to be done.
The trash is really bad from all of ours.
Yes.
It's bad.
Well, and we just have an increase in foot traffic downtown, which is great. It's what we want. But now we're starting to see, we're not quite ready. So we need to make sure that that's on our radar to get that infrastructure in place, because we do have a lot more foot traffic. If you look at lunchtime, you have people walking. At nighttime, of course, the bars. So we that's just a necessity that we've got to get down there. So, but I will work on getting some options, what that looks like, some pricing, and then we can go from there. Okay, Lowriders Against Bullies car show. I know that we talked about some concerns that we had at the last meeting. Mr. Marrero and myself did have a meeting with the organizers. We are going to extend the invite for them to come back. I think it's a good event for downtown to house. We did talk about concerns that we had and how we're going to put parameters in place so that doesn't happen again. They were very agreeable to our requirements. We went through the issues that we had with the payment to the OPD, and clarified some things for them, made sure that they were really aware of that cannot happen again and what we need to do in the future to make sure of that. They were very agreeable, and they want to come back downtown. So after our conversation, we felt very confident that we do it again and see how it goes, and hopefully it'll go really well. And if not, then we'll have another discussion and with you guys and Mr. Marrero and see what we want to do. But
Will it end earlier?
yes, so we won't be going until 2 a.m. So we're gonna, yeah,
Like
we're gonna,
11 or 10 or something?
yeah, I think we're gonna put a cap at midnight so that the street is cleared by midnight, and the concert, if it needs to start earlier or whatever, but we just can't close the street for 36 hours, so.
Okay.
But they were great, they were very agreeable, and they agreed to, make some changes to make it a great event for next year, so.
I think the pre-planning will be,
And we agreed, we're gonna start in January this year, and really, I think they know now barricades aren't an option, fencing isn't an option, these things have to be done, insurance has to be done, and they are very much in agreement with that, so I don't think we should have that issue anymore. West Texas Fest, again, that was partnered event with LNOL Art Museum. We had that on September 24th. It was very successful. We had our recap meeting with them last week and their board, and they said that they were very excited, very happy with it being downtown. They did want to make some changes. They thought the band was too loud, and for everybody sitting right in front of the stage wasn't the best layout for them. So we're going to work with them to reconfigure some things. They also said that it was a very different demographic than they usually have at their events. They said that typically they have the same people who go to every single one of their events. It's their connoisseurs, it's their people who are really tied into the museum, and I think bringing it downtown opens it up to the public, to a totally different demographic, which is really kind of where they're struggling and reaching. And so they said they really liked that. But $100 a ticket might not be the best way to go for downtown. And so they're gonna kind of restructure that. They said this is really good because this event was created to bring in folks that aren't familiar with the museum. But they ran the event like it was tailored to folks who were familiar with the museum and didn't do a great job marketing. Didn't do a great job marketing and explaining all the aspects and all the different areas that they had going on. And so they're gonna work on that. So we're gonna work with them next year to kind of up their marketing. I think Savannah had some really good ideas for them on how they can advertise and market to the general public, not their connoisseurs, so.
My comment on that, I don't know if they could have doubled the attendance, but they could have had 30%, maybe even 40% more people, if the people who did, who sponsored a table and so forth would have shown up or given it away.
They did say that, so they sold.
Plenty of tables
They
that were empty
sold
that
a bunch
somebody
of
paid money
tables.
for.
Yes, but those folks did not come. They think that they were on the Texas Tech Longhorn game, so that they were competing with that. There was the Jazz Fest at the same time in Midland. There was a private event for Joe Bean at the Milson's house that they were competing with. A lot of people said that they couldn't go to their event because they were going to the Milson's event. There was a lot of events happening, so we're also looking at changing that date away from there. So we're looking at October 13th. The only concern with that is that the Permian OHS game, one year it will be, the next year it won't be. So I told them they need to pick a date, stick with it. I think another issue is that this event has been at 5 different locations in 5 different years. And so it's traveled all over the place. And so bringing it to one location, having a date that it's at, that permanent date, if it's the second Friday in October or whatever it is, you're always gonna have events, but.
Well, we had a great experience.
Good.
And a couple of, I guess they're younger board members than on the LNOL. I thought they promoted it really well. They approached me, we let our office be a green room, and we had a great time.
Good.
Really the only problem is there was a bunch of tables that were paid for that nobody showed up to.
Correct.
And if that would have been better, it would have been a great, it was a great event, I liked it. If you're going to, I guess maybe you can move some of the tables back, but to me, that was a part of the experience.
And that's what I said. I said that it was advertised as a concert, and that's part of being at a concert, but I think they had a little bit like their, maybe a different age group
Well, if
crowd that
it's
wasn't
to
like.
that demographic,
That's right. It's different.
I'm not going.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
a different experience.
Yeah.
Then downtown's not the place for.
And that's what we had that discussion. We definitely had that discussion, and I think that.
Because it had a lot of potential, I thought.
That's what
And
they
Caleb
said.
Young, I thought was great.
Yeah.
It reminded me of when you guys brought
Aaron.
Aaron, yeah.
Yeah, so he did a great job, and their opener was fabulous, the acoustic, he was great, so. Okay, moving on, downtown art tour, that is going to be next Friday. We had 100 tickets to sell, we have 35 remaining, so we really need to get those 35 sold, but I'm confident in our ability to do that. We've had a lot of great response on that, and we're very excited for that to happen. That's Dia de los Muertos themed. The Treats on the Street is October 31st. That's going to be trick-or-treating at downtown businesses. We closed that sign up so that Savannah can work on the map, but we did have 32 businesses sign up to be a part of it. That will take place the Monday of Halloween from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. We partnered with a medical center hospital also because they're having a big trunk or treat. So we got them to sign on as a stop. So in addition to our 32 businesses, medical center, that stop will also have a huge parking lot full of trunk or treat. So we're really working to not compete with other businesses that are having events, but see how we can join forces and just make it huge for the communities. So downtown Odessa will be giving out shirts, and all the participants up to 5,000. The first 5,000 participants will get punch cards, and those punch cards, every business that you go to will put a stamp on it. You go to 10 downtown businesses and get your card stamped. You get entered to win prizes like a smart TV, a hoverboard, gift cards to participating businesses, and a whole bunch more. So we're very excited to be a part of that. Shop Small November, again, that's going to be, we're working on ideas. I know in the past it's kind of been a virtual event where we highlighted different businesses leading up to the Shop Small Saturday. Savannah has some great ideas on how we can kind of change that up and reimagine it, but we are working on that. So Christmas this year, the parade's gonna be on December 3rd. That's a Saturday. So far, we have sponsors, and we did include for you guys our flyer and then the sponsorship packet that Savannah has created. So far, we have Prosperity Bank. They are going to be our parade overall sponsor. And then we have Medical Center, who's going to do sponsorship for Letters to Santa, the market, and the parade. And then we have ConocoPhillips, which we've been really trying to get Conoco to have buy-in with Odessa. They sponsor a lot of things in Midland. When we originally met with them last year, they weren't sold on the idea of sponsoring in Odessa yet. But Savannah actually reached out to them. They had and got them to sponsor for the parade. So we're really hopeful that that's a good tie-in, and hopefully they'll continue to be a good sponsor for our events. So I'm very thankful for Savannah for that. So good job there.
Yes. Have we cap for the parade? Did we say?
175.
175.
Yes, ma'am. Last year we had 183 organizations and they were overspilled. So Parks decided that we need to move that down to 175. And that's organizations. So you can have 40 vehicles under one organization, but 175 organizations. So we're going to cap it at 175 this year and see if that kind of remedies our issue. So
We're doing the same fees as we did last year.
same fees as last year, exactly. Yes. We've had a bunch, I think 40, something like that, sign up already.
Is there a deadline?
November, no, there's not a deadline to sign up. There's a deadline for sponsorships, but
Late registration is the 23rd.
late registration is the 23rd. It's an additional $25 or $50 after that, so. And then we will not be doing registration day up. It's way too difficult to do it for our volunteers and the people running that sign up. We will not allow any registration day up, so.
It's so smooth.
Yes,
That's a
yes.
good decision.
So-
That worked well last year.
yeah. So we won't be handling any money or any of that. We're just, if you haven't signed up by December 2nd, you're not in the parade. So, unless we sell out by then, so, which is a very high probability. Okay, so that's the parade. Letters to Santa, again, that's something new that we're doing this year. That's gonna be at the Rose Building. We are having a photographer come in Brevi's is gonna decorate, we talked with them this morning, they're gonna do a big, photo backdrop. We rented the double, big white and gold double chair so that the kids can go up there. We're hiring a photographer so you can get your photos made with Santa, and that's all free to the public. A lot of families can't afford, no problem, a lot of families can't afford to get their kiddos pictures taken with Santa, so we thought this would be a great free addition to our event. So from 2 to 5, you can go to the Rose Building and get your pictures made with Santa for free. And then also, we reached out to CASA, and they are going to sponsor all of the letter making kits. So they're gonna have all the paper, all the crayons, all the markers, all the envelopes and all that. And they're also gonna provide volunteers to work the event and help the kiddos write the letters. So, yeah, so that will be the Letters to Santa event. We'll have Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus, the Grinch, and elves, all kind of in that space with the kiddos and taking pictures and all of that. So it's gonna be really cool from 2 to 5. Again, that's free. And then the market, we're hoping to have about 10 food trucks. So far we have 5, which is great. And we're hoping to have about 50 vendors. Right now I think we have 20-ish. So that will be on Texas from 3rd to 5th. We'll have food trucks, we have jumpers, and we are gonna partner with Odessa Arts. Last year they did a DJ. We spent about $2,600 on a DJ to DJ that event. This year we really wanna partner with Odessa Arts and get local artists to go out and play acoustic. So at the market, you'll also have live acoustic local music. So they're gonna help us book those bands. So that's gonna be really fun. The market will be from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. So before and after the parade, and then the parade will start at 6:30. So
How many vendors did you say?
we're hoping to have about 50. Right now we have about 20. I did want to discuss with you guys, I know last year, it was right when I started, there was some controversy over calling the KOB volunteers because we paid them $2,000 to work the event. So I told them that we need to come up with some other terminology than volunteers, because if we're calling them volunteers, we're not gonna pay them. So we're gonna call them trash busters. So they have 5 groups of 5 different organizations that have already signed up. And they will walk behind the parade and collect all the trash, and we will pay them $400 per group. So for a total of $2,000, which is the same as we did last year. But I wanted to run that by you guys and see what you thought. We don't have the manpower to do that. We're gonna have the market going on, we're gonna have the Letters to Santa going on, and then the parade.
And people trash grants.
Oh, no, it's horrible, yeah.
It's 23 blocks that they'll be cleaning, and they will provide the manpower, they'll provide all of their own trash bags, all their own gloves, and then what they do is they bag it all up and set it to the side, and then street department comes through and their guys pick it all up and take it to the dump.
Definitely.
That's priceless for me,
Yeah.
whatever it takes.
Yes.
I agree, but we always want to get y'all's opinion,
Are
so.
you sure you don't want to take care of it again like this one? They're on 7.
I'm sorry.
Are you sure you don't
I'm
want to?
positive that I don't want to be
Yeah, let's move
gloveless
forward.
at 4 a.m. picking up trash.
Yeah. Move forward.
I think my husband would not be happy with that. So $2,000, we got this.
Okay.
So we got them signed up. New Year's Eve, again, I know we talked about it. We're not gonna do Downtown Odessa is not doing a New Year's Eve event. We have looked at potentially doing some kind of laser countdown, but that was gonna be between $25,000 and $35,000. And so what we've thought of now is, we know like the Marriott is having a big event, Sidebar is having an event, the house is having a big New Year's Eve party, and so what we wanna do, if Icon's open, they'll have a big event party. So, potentially homemade wines. So what we wanna do is we wanna create a flyer, and we want to push this out to the media. We wanna brand it New Year's Eve downtown or something, and then we want to have every business that's having an event, and we want to push that out as our way of supporting downtown businesses, but we're not having a conflicting event that's pulling them out of those bars and restaurants. So I wanted to get y'all's opinion on that and see if you thought that was a good idea, if you would like us to move in a different direction.
Great
I think
idea.
that's great.
Great idea.
Perfect. We've also talked about meeting with the bars and restaurants that are having events, and seeing if they wanted to do a rotating happy hour that we could advertise, or if they just want to have their own events and we'll advertise it. So we've had some that are interested in doing a rotating New Year's Eve where, you know, the house is from 6 to 7, they have a special on their drink, the sidebar is at this time. I don't know about the liability that would have if we were involved in that. You know, if anybody were to say, well, y'all advertised it and we went to all 10 bars and now we're wasted and we're gonna drive and it's because
Let's
of your
just promote
advertisement.
them all as a whole and see if they're specials.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too.
And I know like the Marriott, you guys are having like a New Year, like a midnight brunch and all of that. So we would want, we just want to advertise everybody and just have like under the umbrella of celebrate downtown or, you know, something like that. And then all the businesses that are doing something, that is our plan. State of Downtown, I know that's far out, it seems like it, but it's really not. That's gonna be February 24th at the Rose Building again. We've already got the Rose Building locked in. It worked out really well, and we made a profit, so I think that's where we're gonna keep it. Hot Summer Nights, again, we are looking at, it's always been Fridays in June and July. We've talked about, Odessa Arts and I have talked about changing that to be 4 instead of 8, putting more money and bigger bands into those 4. And then at our last play committee meeting, somebody brought up, maybe we don't have it on Friday. Maybe, you know, Midland does a big concert series on Sunday. Friday is when everybody's leaving to travel. And so we thought about maybe what if we do it on a Thursday? Have Hot Summer Nights on Thursday. A lot of events you'll see are moving to Thursdays because then they're not competing with people going out of town for the weekend. And so we're looking at potentially having those on Thursdays. I have plans to meet with Odessa College and see what they think about having our Hot Summer Nights at the park. Do we do 2 at the park, 2 at the Ector? Do we do them all at the Ector? Do we do them all at the park? These are all kinds of things that we're trying to throw out there. But we really want to do a 3-year clause where if you played at Hot Summer Nights, you can't come back and play for 3 years. Because one of the big complaints that we keep getting is that it's the same bands every year, over and over and over and over. And so we've been asked to find new, different bands. And so we've also thought about, you know, bringing in a bigger band but having a local opener and having two guests, musical guests. What does that look like? So we're really trying to revamp Hot Summer Nights and see what it's going to take and what we need to do to get the public buy-in again. So that's kind of where we're
We
at.
do them every 2 weeks, or how will you?
Every
do them
week.
all one month?
Yeah, we're thinking every Friday in June.
Okay,
Yeah.
or every Thursday now?
Yeah, every Thursday or whatever day that the committee selects, so. Fandango, I just wanted to get this on y'all's radar. This is gonna be a big topic in January, but I want to talk to y'all about it now. We are gonna have to change the layout back to encompass all the way up to 6th Street, so we will need that block of 5th, and I really, in my heart of hearts, think that we are gonna have to use Texas. It was so crowded, the car show did not work where it was. That has to go back onto Texas. And so I really think that we're gonna need to, you know, we already expanded it 4 blocks last year and we thought we might have got overly excited and extended it additional by 4 blocks. So we took those 4 blocks off at the very end. And I think that was a mistake. I think we really need those additional 8 blocks. So I wanted to put that on y'all's radar of what that would look like. It would be 2nd to 6th from Sam Houston to Texas. On Texas, it would go from 2nd to 6th. So it would go in front of the Marriott. It would. We've talked to Odessa Arts. They are going to have battle of the bands at the Ector, so that would now include the Ector, and the Ector would be in our footprint. We need to start having conversations with the hospitals, the fire department, the police department, and really see if for that day we can't reroute, and what that would look like. That was the biggest concern, was Texas is now gone, Fifth is now gone, Grant is obviously gone. So that makes a traffic nightmare for those, 2 hours. Second Street is gone. So I think if we get it in front of everybody in time to really work through a good plan and have a good logistics plan for those reroutes, we can get that approved. But those were kind of
So
things.
go in front of the Marriott
Mhm.
and shut that down?
Mhm. Yeah, that
I don't know if
conference
I can
center
do that
entrance
for
would
the
be
franchise
closed.
agreement, but I'll check and see it.
Why would it go in front of the Marriott if you're saying it stops at Texas? Am I not in?
No, it wouldn't, not on, Fifth, not
Oh, okay.
Fifth that way, but it would go in
The
front of the
conference
conference center.
Yeah.
Yes.
Texas would be closed, but
Texas
it
would be
open in
closed.
front of the.
We went-
Jackson is not touched.
No,
Jackson.
Jackson, Fifth going east would not be
Okay,
touched.
I've done that before, I think,
Yes.
for one of the car
Was it for
shows.
something?
Yeah, there
Yeah,
was a
we
car show
won't,
there one time.
we will never agree to close Texas and Fifth at the same time to totally cut off access to the
Okay.
hotel, ever. We tell everybody who's coming in, we can't, just like we don't wanna shut down access to a business unless they have an alley access or something. We try to be very mindful of that, so.
Yeah, once you decide that, let me know so I can let the sales team know that if there is a quinceanera or something where people are pulling in.
Yeah, that would be very
They know
helpful.
when they're planning it, like
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
They would have
I would
parking
plan for
lots.
that. I would absolutely
Is there-
just put that on your
Is it
radar.
like July 4th or what?
It's gonna be July 1st, which is the
First.
Saturday before 4th of July.
Is there any way we could put the fencing between the Ector and the conference center, mid-street, so they can still drive under the Florida?
They don't like us to close the street half a
Mid-street,
block.
okay.
Especially for an event that big, because what happens is cars pull in and they have nowhere to go to get out. So if we really need to close it at the intersection to keep
Okay.
people from even traveling down that
Okay.
street, cause I had to ask
How do you
that.
do a car show on the street? I mean, like at Phoenix or whatever, I think when Toby went there they had it at McDonald's, they had it in a big building. I was trying to think of the different places he's gone to car shows and.
So it's my understanding that we've had it on Texas because Texas is so wide that it allows your cars to park how you want your cars parked at a car show, but you still have plenty of room in the middle for people to navigate through.
Turning in.
I think-
The
We have
problem
some-
on Grant was the median.
The median.
Because in
was an issue.
downtown, it's a zero parking requirement, like, we just don't have sprawling parking lots.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
Crossroads
there,
or Mission or-
yeah, there's not a
Elsewhere in
private
town, they
parking
are doing
lot
that for you.
that
Yeah.
has the capacity of doing that. Yes, that's true.
Okay.
And then we have, the only one that could potentially do that would be the courthouse parking, that's where we have our main stage, so.
Okay.
So music, we're going a little different. So if you went to, West Texas Fest, you saw Jojo DeSalvo. He was the live acoustic player. He's from Plainview, so we've reached out to him to see about his availability and cost to be an opener there. We've also reached out to Tree Oak Revival. They are a really, really well-known band from the area. They're a Texas country band, kind of like a bluesy, grassroots type of vibe.
Are they
They
not to
have
be at the Ector?
Sam Canty's son. Pat Canty's son.
Oh,
his
okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a huge following.
Wow.
And then with our headliner, we're really looking at the MB Writers. So if you don't know who that is, it's kind of like a 90s R&B with a Latino flair. They also rap in Spanish. And they were recently at the Ector Theater, and that's the biggest selling concert they've ever had. There was a huge crowd. They sold out. They had people who were calling to try to get tickets. So we thought that was a good sign. We've reached out to them, they're $8,500, which is less than we paid for Rick Trevino.
Nice.
That's the headliner for Fandango?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah, we really wanna change it up, you know, we've always done Tejano, Texas country, that's it. So we're adding a little bit of something different, so we have, like a country acoustic, we have Treaty Oak Revival, who is a local Texas country band, but they have a huge following, so we think they will bring a lot of folks to them. And then, and B-Riders, which is totally out of left field, totally different.
They've come to the Tejano, the Nick Hernandez show
Right.
probably 10 times
Yeah.
in the last 20 years.
But it's
And
free.
And they know it's public, so it'll be G-rated and.
Yes, yes.
I would have never thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's cool, I mean,
I think it's totally different. It's something that
used to play in
we,
the truck growing up, I guess, but that's different.
it is
I don't
different,
know
yeah.
why.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're looking at that. And then, the last thing I had on here was volunteers. And we might, kind of like we're doing with the Christmas parade, have to pay some groups because we are not, that, it was bad.
For the trash cleanup, I agree. with
Correct,
some volunteers
yes.
and some help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, old business, entertainment district, we're kind of putting a pin in that for right now. We don't have the infrastructure that we need. We don't have the trash cans, we don't have the updated lighting. I had a meeting with our police chief and, his concerns are lighting for sure. He said Grant West is, and he pointed them out, really some areas that are in desperate need of some updated lighting. His other concern was manpower. So he would want to see 2 officers at a minimum downtown between 8 and 2 to 3 a.m. He does not have the funds to pay that because it would be straight overtime. So we did the math, it's about $1,150 a weekend to have police officers down here that he doesn't have the funding for. So we'd be having to look for alternatives to fund that. So there's just not a way that we can commit to $1,100 a weekend. And so there potentially could be new cameras going in downtown. If we can get the progress going on the CO, we might have some more infrastructure in place that way. He's hopeful that in the next 6 months, he has in his plan to have a designated downtown task force. That would just be foot patrol officers that are designated for downtown specifically. They're hopeful that in the next 6 to 12 months, they can maybe up their police force and have the availability of those officers to work that, but right now we don't. So, we're kind of holding off, and not that that's going away, we're just not, we don't have what we need to put that in place yet, so. Past due invoices, Texas Tech did get theirs paid, Glitz and ORMC have not got theirs paid. No, and I did send that directly to, yes ma'am, the email that you sent me, and I didn't get a response. And then I know John personally walked Glitz, their invoice over, and we haven't got a response, so. Grant update really quick, Ambler Law, they did turn in a huge packet of information with all of their stuff. What they were missing was their invoices. So their invoices were included, so I've reached back out to them, and they're working on getting those. So we're hopeful that will happen soon. Petty Cardio, we are going to, that says request in October, but we got with Petty Cardio, and they are going to hopefully present to ODC in November and request for an extension. They're the ones who are in the middle of litigation with their contractor, so they've gone to a lawsuit. Icon Tavern, again, they did get their 6-month extension approved, which is until March, but I've been told that they're hopeful to open November 15th-ish, mid-November-ish. John's giving me an eyebrow, so that might be longer. John, would you like to provide an update?
Hopefully it'll be open December. I mean, we're moving along, stuff's done, we've had some speed bumps and other things, and just, we're trying.
Okay, Little McJack, I know that they are currently in construction and they're hoping to be open again November. Homemade wine, same thing, they're in construction, she's making a lot of progress on her building. And she's hoping November, so.
Yeah, she told me yesterday, November, but.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And
I know she is
then
good.
part two, we did finally receive Mr. Rios' signature, but now we're waiting on his building insurance. He accidentally sent me his general liability insurance instead of his building insurance, and then his wife had surgery, so she's the one who kind of handles all that, and so she's been under the weather. But I did speak with him last week, and he's gonna get that updated to me, so.
Whatever happened to Fountainville?
What happened at Fountainville is they're having some financial problems. It's not dead. They're just waiting right now. They're doing a few other things. And to add all the plumbing and electrical and everything they needed to put in there, it's just not in the budget right now.
The sponsors, are we doing pretty good on sponsors for events and everything?
Yeah, so last year, the only sponsor we got was Prosperity Bank, which they sponsored $5,000 for the parade for the last 5 years that I can see. So that's the only sponsor that we got. This year, we've already brought in them as well as ConocoPhillips and Medical Center. And this is gonna go out to everybody in the next week, and so we're hopeful that will bring on some more sponsorships as well.
Treats on the Streets had never made money before.
Treats on the Street had never made money before, and this year we got 32 businesses to sign up, so. Plus $1,000 overarching sponsor, so.
And what was the other large one you got on a previous event that we had never gotten before? There was.
Fandango, we did great. We brought in about $45,000 in sponsorships, which we hadn't done in the past. In the past, we've received about $5,000 in sponsorships for Fandango. This year, we did about $45,000. So we're rocking and rolling. Savannah's been working on a sponsorship annual ask, so it would just be a sponsorship package that has every one of our events and the breakdown of it, or you can just do a set amount and we won't reach out to you every month that we have an event.
Even advertising signs or in the streets or just on the brochure or what?
Brochure, website, television.
Yeah, especially for the parade. The parade, we're spending about $20,000 in advertising, so depending on what listing you get, you'll be in all of our TV ads, all of our social media ads, all of our banners and signage at the event. So yes.
Could you like to sign up, sir?
Somebody in line.
Okay.
Anything that y'all would like me to add to the agenda for November outside of those few things that we tabled?
I won't be here in November, just to let you know.
Yes, ma'am.
What is that day? November 8th.
So we'll volunteer her for everything.
No.
Yes, November 8th is our next meeting, and again, it will be at 11 a.m.
Perfect.
And I'll send out the calendar invite, and then I'll send an email with the packet separately. So Sandra, I know you'll be out of town, but if you have any questions on the packet, you can always ask me, and I can bring it up to the board.
Sorry I was late, guys.
Thank y'all very much. I tried to talk fast. Ooh, I didn't do too good, but I
Yeah,
tried.
lots
That's all
covered.
right.
We did have a lot to cover.